Good evening. It's now 6 p.m. on March 26, 2018. It's time to call this special called meeting of the Board of Trustees of San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District to order. Ms. Haynes, would you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chavita?
Here.
Mr. Mesa?
Here.
Mrs. Martinez-Lozano? Present. Mr. Overfield?
Present.
Mrs. Gonzalez? Here. Mr. Smith? Myself.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. We have a quorum.
We do.
Let the record show that a quorum of the board members are present, and this meeting has been duly called, and notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This time, if you please stand for opening ceremonies, first with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This evening, we'll go straight to 5. Citizens will be heard. Anyone? Thank you, Ms. Falco. Nothing under 9, which takes us to 10, administration. Consideration to approve the 2018 to 2023 District of Innovation Local Innovation Plan. Ms. Sandra Hernandez presenting.
Good evening, Mr. Overfelt, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, I am pleased to inform you that San Felipe Del Rio CISD has completed the requirements as set forth in the Texas Education Code 12A. This is the process of designation as a District of Innovation. I'm going to go over a brief presentation. We'll just cover the points that allowed us to go through this process. I'm going to begin by recognizing the District of Innovation Advisory Committee. They have been instrumental in working to develop this plan, and I'm not going to call them each by name, but I would like to recognize them if they would please stand up. And I'd like to thank them for their service and their commitment to the students of Del Rio and the district.
Thank you.
The District of Innovation process. In order to become a District of Innovation, a school district must complete the requirements as mentioned earlier by the Texas Education Code Chapter 12A and the Texas Education Agency's rules. In order to become a District of Innovation, our district must receive a rating of Met Standard in the accountability system in order to go through this process. And there, our district has received the rating of at least acceptable. This is the process that our district has gone through. This chart outlines all of the points and processes that we have to complete. We began with the board briefing back in November, and on November the 13th, the board adopted a resolution to support the District of Innovation. We conducted a public hearing in December, and in January, we began the process of committee meetings. The committee met in January 23rd, the 30th, and on February the 6th, they completed a final draft of the plan. On February the 7th, the plan was to be posted for 30 days as a requirement. And then on March the 20th, the District of Innovation Advisory Committee conducted a public advisory meeting to consider and approve the final version of the 2018-2022 plan. A letter was sent to the Commissioner on March the 21st, advising him that the board's intent to vote on the innovation plan. And then that leads us to today, the board meeting. The overview of the district plan, you have in front of you a copy of the final draft of the plan. The final draft includes the terms of the plan, which provides a designation as the District of Innovation for 5 years. The term begins the day that the board approves the plan and ends on the 5th anniversary of the day that they approve the plan, unless it's rescinded or renewed by the board in accordance with law, or terminated by the Commissioner of Education. The plan may be amended or rescinded or renewed by the recommendation of the committee, a majority vote of the district level committee established under the Education Code 11-251. The other plans of the term is that if there are changes to the plan, we must notify the Texas Education Agency. An amendment to the plan doesn't change the date. It only makes the revisions, and they would be formally approved, and they're not required to be reviewed by the commissioner. The other things of the other items in the terms, the committee will regroup annually, and in this situation, they will meet in the fall unless the board determines a review to be done at a different time. The committee membership will remain. The committee will be renewed, and we will modify the committee members if needed with a majority vote of the board. The District of Innovation local plan is aligned with the beliefs, the visions, and the goals of the district as approved by the board. The local plan that was proposed is the innovation plan exemption. There are 2 exemptions. The first exemption was to change the uniform start date. The uniform start date as the exemption from the Texas Education Code 250811A, first day of instruction, the school district may not begin on the 4th Monday in August. The rationale that the district doesn't allow school districts to begin, the code does not allow school districts to begin before the 4th Monday in August, and this requirement restricts the local community from designing a calendar that best meets the needs of students and families. This requirement also limits the amount of instructional time available before state and local testing. The exemption from this requirement would allow the district to collaboratively design an academic calendar based on the needs and input from the community. The committee also outlined some strategies. So this is an outline of specifically to begin on the 3rd Monday in August. And they stated their reasons why. The second innovation plan, exemption number 2, would be for educator certification for career and technical education programs. The district is requesting the exemption from Texas Education Code 21.003A, where a person may not be employed as a teacher by a school district unless the person holds an appropriate certificate or permit issued by the appropriate state agency. The rationale for the exemption would only apply to CTE programs, course offerings, House Bill 8, and because of the growth of the CTE programs, course offerings, and House Bill 5 endorsements, these have led to teacher shortages in hard-to-fill areas. An exemption from this education code would allow the district the flexibility to consider workforce professionals to teach CTE courses specifically within the trades and industry certificates, health science certificates, and family and consumer science certificates, for which a traditionally certified candidate is not available. Once again, the District of Innovation Committee provided strategies that would outline the plan. In summary, it's noted that through the annual review process, further innovation and exemptions may be needed to continue the work of the district in meeting the needs of students, and amendments may be necessary. As other districts across the state pursue this process and implement plans through the provision for additional flexibility and increased local control, new ideas for innovation may emerge that may have applicability in the district. So the district, once they review this annually, may continue to provide feedback. The discussion and the approval by the District of Innovation Committee, we received feedback from the public meeting, and these two questions surfaced. Could the start date be delayed until September? This would allow students to start school when the days are cooler. And the second one was, can the district make changes or modify the District of Innovation local plan once it had been approved? So these are two questions that had surfaced. Do you have any questions?
In regards to the two questions that surfaced by the public, I guess during the public portion of the meeting last week, were those answered by administration?
Yes, sir. We discussed them during the meeting. The first question about starting in September, we explained that when the calendar was first changed, mandated to be changed, we know there was two sides to the story. The tourist industry lobbied heavily to have more free time in the summer because that's when their theme parks have the most volume. The argument that was used then was you conserve energy by starting school later, and you don't have to run the ACs as much. And there might be a slight possibility of that being accurate, but the later we start, we still run summer school. It's disingenuous to think that we're not going to run the AC for the custodians when they're working, it does not academically benefit our students for all the reasons that we cited. You need more time to prepare for testing. You need a more balanced calendar. On the second issue, we explained that absolutely the District of Innovation Committee can come back the following year and make a change, but it has to go through the whole process. It isn't like administration gets to just pick and choose what changes to make once it's approved. The committee still has to get together, the committee still has to approve the changes, and then the board still has to approve the changes. And because the committee is made up of 66% of teachers, they're not going to approve anything that is bad for students or teachers. And if for whatever reason that was to happen, which I never see it happening, the board certainly wouldn't approve that. The final authority rests with the board. And before anything comes to the board, it has to pass the test with a committee. And I think they were satisfied about the answers.
Would you also speak to the concerns that were expressed at the public hearing regarding the certification for the CTE?
Yes, there was a concern about about the certification and why we would allow teachers to be certified. We indicated two things. First, we recognize that they will not have classroom teaching experience, and that a good electrician may not make a good teacher. There was the other concern that would they know the background knowledge to be able to teach, for example, the math concepts? The answer was, if they can pass the certification, the industry certification, then they do possess the prerequisite skills for that class. Second, we shared that just like we have a new teacher academy, we would have an academy specifically for these teachers who would be hired with the local certification, which is the industry level certification. And then finally, we indicate that we're talking of areas where we can hire certified teachers, and that it's better to have a teacher that has the industry level certifications versus having a vacancy with a regular sub. And we talked about how currently electrical trades, aircraft maintenance, and one of the courses of health careers has gone most of the year with just a regular substitute. So the students would be much better off if we could use this district of innovation plan to recruit a certified teacher.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mesa?
I'm following through with everything you're saying, and just reassure me. Any amendment, it's the two-step process. Comes from the committee, and then 2/3 of the vote from the board. And then replacement of any committee member is done by administration and approved by the board.
Correction. The committee members are 100% recommended by the board. Unless the board cannot come up with a name of themselves, then we recommend a name to the board to go on and recommend. But absolutely, 2/3 approved by the board for any amendment.
Okay. Because it is a 5-year plan, so in the event that, let's say we have some of the teachers that normally were in the stages of the formation of the innovation plan, if they leave during the 5-year period, the replacement then would come from the board.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
And one other thing, in regard to CTE teachers, I hope that training involves classroom management because of, and bullying and those important things that have to do with student safety.
Yes, sir. It does, in the checklist that you have there in the strategies, it does, the committee specifically wanted to make sure that management, that training on the certified area was involved, mentoring was involved, so a lot of support was provided to this teacher who would, or the person who would be recommended for this position.
Thank you.
Mr. Chavita?
First, Dr. Rios, on the end of school or starting school, we ask him for permission, but we can always start it later, right? Is that correct from what I understand?
That's correct, sir. We're not bound to start on the
start.
third Monday.
But we ask him, if we do want to, we can go back to it.
Yes, sir.
The other thing is, what's the difference between what we have had in the past, like, for example, electricians? They're not degree people. Well, they were hired and they were sent to school and they went through the whole process of they knew the electrical trade, but they didn't know maybe how to teach and that type of thing. So what's the difference between what we're asking and what it was before?
Well, it is a big difference, Mr. Chavita. In a lot of those courses, they still are not required to have a degree, but they currently are required to meet the state certification that every teacher is required to meet to pass both exams.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And this would allow us to substitute industry-level certification for those exams.
That's it.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Wasn't there a local, where you could also give local certificates before? Because I remember keyboarding used to get hired that way, keyboarding teachers.
In the past, and there has always existed an option. I think Ms. Garcia has talked to us about that before, where we could have a local certification for some high-need areas, but we've never exercised that, at least not in the 5 years I'm here. Is that correct, Ms. Garcia?
That's before. Also, didn't they bring up the migrant students and how that it would affect them?
Yes, someone did ask how it would affect the migrant students. Starting 1 week earlier would just mean one additional week that migrant students would miss. And what I explained was that a few years back, this may have been an issue, but the number of migrant students has been significantly reduced. We right now do not have over 100 migrant students that actually leave the area. It's just not financially feasible for families to travel out of state to work because they don't have the benefits for them that they once did.
Okay, thank you.
I'll ask some stuff just to put some ugly rumors to bed there. This District of Innovation Plan goes in and only targets these two items, starting school 1 week early, thus ending 1 week early, and certification in those CTE positions specifically listed. Therefore, there is no surprise coming during the summer or during the year in which we're going to take anyone's duty-free lunch away. We're not going to go in and take away all the holidays, right?
That is correct.
Christmas and spring break and everything else, because the calendar committee will still meet on that.
Correct.
And the board will ultimately has to approve that, and I don't think there's any way any of the 6 sitting up here would ever approve anything that did away with any of those holidays. We're not doing away with contracts for teachers, all right?
Correct.
Everyone still keeps their contract. Okay. I just wanted that out there, that none of that is going in and happening. It's only these 2 items that are being listed.
Sir,
On
there's also one about year-long school,
the what now?
the year-long school.
Year-long, yeah. We're not going year-round
Correct.
either under this plan.
Correct.
Now, upon approval here in a minute, if the board so wishes to approve and move forward with this, the next step, I imagine, we would need to write some policy
That is correct.
as it centers around the spelling out the local district policy, not administrative regulation, but district policy, local, that would go in and spell out, especially when it comes to those CT certifications, what the district would look for if we're going out seeking someone else in the sense of state, national certifications, things like that would be the next step in which we would want to move on to have that on the book, correct?
Yes, sir, you are correct. The TASB will take the plan, and they will design the draft local policies around this plan and identify that we are a district of innovation. School start date, of course, would be one of those policies that would change. The requirement for certifications would be modified specifically in the areas of CTE. All other certifications will remain as is. Requirements will remain as described in the current policy.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments on District of Innovation before we move to what would ultimately be the recommendation? Again, I want to thank those of you who are here who were on the committee. I know it took time away from family in the evening. Thank you so very much for going in and being a part of that. We truly appreciate it, especially being representatives of whether it was the campus, the district, or community. We are very thankful that you went in and did that. So thank you again for serving in that capacity, and hopefully serving in that capacity for the next 5 years there to ensure every year when this goes to review that it continues on being something good for the district. So thank you very much on behalf of the board there. We appreciate that. Recommendation?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the 2018 to 2023 San Felipe Del Rio CISD District of Innovation Local Innovation Plan as designated by Texas Education Code 12A.005A3.
Thank you. We have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to
I so
accept?
move.
Mr. Chavita, seconded by Ms. Martinez-Lozano. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you. Next, we go right through 11 through 15, no items. That takes us into 16, closed session. We will be going into closed session tonight pursuant to 551.074, discussion of personnel or hear complaints against personnel, and 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney, specifically discussion of personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, and resignations. All votes and actions will be taken in open session. We are now in closed session at 6:25. It's now 6:58 PM. We're going to reconvene into open session. No action was taken. 17A, consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, and resignations. Ms. Aide Garcia.
President Overfeld, Dr. Rios, members of the board, administration proudly recommends the following new hires: Denise Prange, first grade teacher for Garfield Elementary; Shelley Brandt, fourth grade teacher for Garfield Elementary; Marisa Magadan, bilingual ESL strategist for Garfield Elementary; and Lindsay Dixon, registered nurse for Del Rio freshman.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation. I so move. Is there a second? Ms. Martinez Lozano. Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. 18, superintendent's report. Nothing on that. 19, it is 6:59 PM. No further business before this board. Is there a motion to adjourn? Ms. Martinez Lozano, second by Mr. Mesa. All in favor? Unanimous. Adjourned at 6:59 PM. Thank you.